Hi everyone, this is Board Games and Bourbon and I'm Glenn Flaherty, and right now I wanted to tell you about my favorite solo roll and write games, and there's about 7 of them that I would recommend. And I'm doing this list so that in case you're looking for ones that you might enjoy, these are really good ones to choose. I'm going to tell you why I chose them, kind of what they compare to, and what they might even replace in some other applications for them. So without further ado, the first game I'm going to talk about is kind of the original roll and write game. As far as I know, Catan Dice came out a long time ago. And in this game, you are rolling a bunch of dice that have different goods on it, like wheat and stone and brick. And you're trying to build these roads, and you're trying to connect all these places and build buildings of different values. There's a time limit on how many rolls you can have. And like Yahtzee, you're rolling a die, you get 3 rolls, and then you got to deal with it. The choice is, do I go small and get the short-term goal that's low points, or do I go for the biggie? As you build your buildings, it helps you manipulate and replace other items to go for the big stuff, but there's also a penalty if you bust and don't get anything. The great thing about this is that it's so small you can take it anywhere. Now, it's recommended for multiple players. Skip that, play it just as solo and try to beat your own score. It got a little bit of a bad reputation when it first came out because people were expecting it to actually replace the full experience in a smaller package. Not what it is at all, but that's a great one, okay? That's a Catan Dice game. I would get that. Plus, it's like 13 bucks full price, so you can probably get it, on Amazon for like 9. Moving on from there, another one that's been around for a while is the Castles of Burgundy, the roll and write, which is just an awesome game. It's kind of like the original Castles of Burgundy in that you're rolling resource die plus a die that tells you how much time is moving on. And so there's a pressure element. And what you're trying to do in this one is you're rolling this die, you're trying to grow your little kingdom, and you're trying to score points. If you get all of a certain area scored, early in the game, you get more points. Do you go for it later? What do I go for so that this hex is touching another hex and I have access to new things? You also have die rolls that unlock benefits to help you manipulate the die, workers. It really does play a lot like the original. Now, this is another inexpensive game. I play it all the time solo. It's probably my most played game. Probably my most played game out of everything I own, actually, real board game or not. And that one, I think, is a must-have in your collection. So that is the Castles of Burgundy. Now, from there, I'm actually going to move. I'm going to skip these around. There's no specific order. But from Castles of Burgundy, a pretty similar game that got better with the solo rules is Rolling Ranch. Rolling Ranch was originally released as a multi-person game where you, again, are rolling your die, and the die have animals and numbers, and you cross-use them, and you have to put them in specific pens, and let me show you what this looks like in here, to kind of score points at the end of the game. There's a certain amount of rounds that you're doing. And these are what the boards look like here, okay? And they have very specific numbers. But when you do your die rolls, you can decide, do I want to fill this up or do I want to build buildings? When I build buildings, it lets me manipulate future die, plus I might get points for the buildings too. So there's a lot of good decisions about where you want to build your buildings. The solo mode came out after the fact, and the solo mode comes with another score sheet that does the seasons of the year. So there's kind of like an ongoing effect. The die are super cute and adorable. Let's see if we can get the camera to focus on that. Super cute. There's numbers and animals on the different size, and there a whole bunch of different resources you put down. This one also comes with bonus cards in here, which I think are super cool. They tell you what to go for. And the solo expansion also is so good. I'm probably going to use a multiplayer. It's a fun multiplayer game with the expansion. I would probably have said it was kind of just ho-hum and basic without the expansion, but with the solo, it really improved everything, and it made it a really great, charming solo game. Now, the version I have also has these little stamps in it that kind of put down the actual face of the animals, and I wonder if I have an example here. Here's an example of a card where you use the stamp on it. So it's just really cute. It plays really fast. Again, a small footprint. Building your territory kind of also flirts with Castles in Burgundy, okay? And I'm going to tell you here what this replaces that you don't need. If you get this one here, you do not need to get another roll and write, Imperial Settlers, which I got to tell you, just really I went into it wanting to like it, and I can appreciate what it tried to do, but it's been done before and been done better. This one here is a game where you are, once again, rolling dice. You're rolling a bunch of dice. You're filling out a board. You're unlocking powers. But two faults to the game. One, there's a lot of bookkeeping in it. Like there's a lot of double checking things to make sure they apply and you're using them correctly. And then two, the game, you're building this engine and the game cuts off just as your engine is getting robust. And it's just not rewarding. Like, it's like, oh, I did all that work and it just ends. I'm sure they did that so it didn't spiral out of control, but the bookkeeping is and get Castles of Burgundy or Rolling Ranch, okay? All right. But hey, if you like that too, go for it. It's not a bad game. I just think the other ones do it a little bit better. Okay, so by the same creator as Rolling Ranch, we have Cartographers, which is an awesome game, solo or multiplayer. And it kind of scores like Isle of Skye mixed with, patchwork Tetris kind of idea. And what you're doing in it is you are getting these cards that are shapes. And you need to put these shapes down into your little area. You're making the map. And then there are these scoring conditions that are timed. The cards you pull, you don't know what cards you're going to pull. You don't know what your scoring conditions are going to be. You don't know how much time is going to pass before a round is over. And you are trying to time it so that when these scoring conditions kick in, you have them optimized. So it might say something like, okay, you needed to have this much contiguous of this type of territory, or something in the corners, or you had the most of this or the few this. Plus you get other kind of bonuses. Wow, it's so much fun. Plus the art in the game is fantastic. It's also really good interactive because there's an element in the game, it's called like an ambush, where you need to switch your board with other people if you play multiplayer, and they get to just drop a shape in your board that might totally mess you up, or unwittingly they made things better for you. And when you play solo, basically the ambush card says, do this and put it in this corner, and you do that, and it's basically the same effect. Really, really enjoy this game. The scoring solo always catches you off guard. You think you're doing really well, and then you see the scoring condition, you're like, what? I have negative points? Anyway, that's a really great game, Cartographers. Highly recommend it. 3 more games here. I'm going to skip to Roll Through the Ages Iron Age for a moment. Now, if you're really in the mood for a big time, like sit down with my roll and write, play that game, this is it. It really does feel like civilization building. It's very good multiplayer because there's like a Mediterranean board in it where you're fighting for territory. And essentially, once again, you're rolling die and you're trying to unlock powers. But there's also famine and there's war and you're building up armies and investing in ports. But this game has 2 things that might not satisfy you. One is there's a lot of parts. So you got to like a bunch of little pegs. You got to put in wooden boards. It comes with a bunch of boards in it, which kind of verges on like the problem I have with steamrollers and La Graja, I think it's called, because there are just so many components to it. It didn't have that ease of setting up and going, okay? But now, the look of it, you might say this is either like a pub game or something made in like the 70s, but it's actually been redesigned. It is nice wood. It is burned wood. Let's see if I can get that to focus on that. So there are your troops. You can set fire to things. You might have pestilence and bad things happening, negative points. You need to pay tributes. There's another die here that tells you whether it's going well or troops are involved, or the sun thing. I forget what that does at the moment. But there's a whole bunch of things going on in there. It's not too hard to learn. The other thing involved with it is that the actual roll and write part that you're interacting with is just black and white. So it's really lacking on the looks. This is it. This is the board you're writing on. And essentially, as you're rolling your die, you fill in either ports that give you points and powers, or you're accessing all of these benefits. So they'll do things like, if you spend 2 of your money, you're going to get leadership that gives you rerolls on your die. You could even do commerce, which gives you bonuses on every colony, ship, and port that you do. You have these structures you're trying to build. That might be worth 2, 4, 10, 13 points. Tributes you got to pay to other people. Disasters that occur that are negative points at the end of the game. It does feel like a civilization game. Out of everything I have, Even some real board games I have, it feels more like a civilization game, but you know, the artwork might not be for everyone. Plus it's kind of heavy, but keep that in mind, okay? Of the Roll Through the Ages series, this is actually my favorite, okay? The Iron Age. Two more. Next one I'm going to do is because it replaces the regular game for me, and that is Fleet Dice. I really enjoy this game so much that it replaces regular Fleet for me. Regular Fleet was fun, but I think other things have replaced it for me. Plus, it takes up a lot of space. This one I can play by myself very easily. The components are small and intuitive. The AI to play solo. This plays multiplayer too. But solo is where it shines. You get 2 pads of paper. You put it together like this. You're going to roll some really cool iridescent die, if we can get the focus on there. And I don't know if you're going to pick up the shimmer, but the die are really cool. You're going to roll these, and basically what you do is you pick a die. Someone else picks a die, or the AI picks a die, whatever. And what happens is you fill out your different kind of fish. It'll either give you a license or a boat. When you do that, the licenses basically give you scoring opportunities. Boats give you capacity to have points. And then you take all of that and you parlay it into investing in the harbor, the markets, the wharfs. And you get this great engine. And where Imperial Settlers failed, Fleet Dice does great. You get this engine that's cranking and cranking, and at least for a third of the game, you feel this big thing moving and moving. It feels so good, and the AI in it is really intuitive. The AI is basically just a little blocker, and you put it here, and it blocks one category you can't fill in, so you don't take that die. And then it just keeps rotating, and you kind of know what's coming, and you're trying to beat your own score, and it's really good. And like I said, it replaces the base game for me. Fleet Dice. I would recommend that, and plus you have a solid multiplayer game, which is really good for those nights where you don't have a lot of space, or maybe you're somewhere else, and you brought it over to someone's house, and you want to recommend it, okay? Lastly, a game that I wish got more attention, it's really lovely because there's a lot going on, is Welcome to Dinoworld. Welcome to Dinoworld is probably the best looking roll and write game I have, and there's so much going on with it. Basically, you could say it rubs elbows with the Cartographers. Basically, what you're trying to do is you're building these pins for these dinosaurs, but you don't only have dinosaurs and pins. You have, what kind of dinosaur do I go to? I have to power the security. Do I want to have an aviary? Do I want aquatic animals? There's also visitor things you're trying to build to score more points. Do I put a building there? If I put a building there, it might mess up my opportunity to put down more dinosaurs. On top of that, the multiplayer of this game is not only colorful, pretty much intuitive, especially if you play in the harder one. You can explain it very easily, I find. But there are things that you're fighting over. So it really gives that nice Euro battle in there where, you know, it's indirect battling for points and stuff like that. But when you play with the solo deck of cards, which basically makes it the same game, it's just really fun and compelling. And I love, you draw your creatures and you do it. It plays pretty quickly. It's great to interact with. And all around, I just think that's a really fun game. So that is Welcome to the Dinoworld, okay? Now with that, that's basically everything I would recommend. There are some games that I've left out because they just kind of struck me as, you know, spreadsheets or, But anyway, those are really good games. If you have any questions about how they play, let me know. I'm happy to answer your questions about gameplay or other games not on the list, and to hear your suggestions, frankly. And also, update on the channel. I'm going to have t-shirts and all types of fun things soon, which I think is cool. And, you know, you'll probably let me know. Okay, well, until next time, thank you so much, everyone. I will talk to you later, and take it easy. Bye.